this coming month on the 7th of July. So progressively, the allocations we have been given for water, which is given to means of water, we are doing boreholes. But in the meantime also, we request the schools, particularly in areas which get adequate amount of rainfall, to do a little bit of rain harvesting, roof harvesting, and also a number of schools are supplied by the existing water supplies in those areas where they are. So progressively we will be improving the situation out of the allocation that is given to us through means of water.
Senator Boni, you take the last bite on that.
Oh. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I would like to appeal to the Minister. The current infrastructure in respect of classrooms and laboratories at Mukumu High School was built for 1,000 students. Today, Mr. Speaker, the population has swollen to 2,000. We urgently need just 20 million to fix the classrooms and the laboratories. Please, could you offer to give us this emergency support, and then all will be well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Actually, the Honorable member, my good friend, knows the discussions that we had. The school procured 12 additional acres on the other side of the road, and we had very serious discussions on the meeting of Saturday, and I'm sure that out of the infrastructural funds that are given for us to give the schools, again, this coming financial year, 2023-2024, one of the schools which is going to be a beneficiary is Mukumu Girls. So I give you the assurance that that is going to be done.
Senator Mazaya.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nataka kumuuliza waziri maswali mawili.
Senator Mazayo, you are entitled to one supplementary questions under the standing orders.
Swali la kwanza Bwana waziri, Bwana Spika, ni swala ambalo linahusika na yale majibu ambayo ametoa, ambao ni katika swala la 8 ambayo amejibu, lakini niko na swala langu mwenyewe ambalo nilikuwa nataka nimuulize. Kwa hiyo nataka nipatie nafasi kidogo tu, dakika moja niweze kuongea na waziri. Waziri, kwa majina mimi naitwa Stewart Mazayo, ni seneta kutoka Kilifi na ni kiongozi wa walio wachache katika bunge la Senate. Waziri, katika kujibu kwako swali hili, ukiangalia swali lako la 8 linaeleza ya kwamba kulikuwa na tani 73 za mahindi na mchele, na pia vile vile maharagwe ama beans yaliyoharibika na ambayo yalisababisha pia matatizo yale yaliyokuwa katika huko skuli. Waziri, jambo la kushangaza ni kwamba hatua iliyochukuliwa na serikali ni kwamba chakula hichi kilitoka kule Mukumu, sehemu za Kakamega huko, zikapelekwa mpaka Mombasa katika kituo cha Bamburi Portland Cement Factory, ikiwa na supervision ya wale watu wa kuharibu hii shirika lile ambalo linahusika na ukaharibu ama yakaharibiwa kwa sababu yalikuwa hayafai kutumika. Swali hili lanishangaza sana. Jibu hili lanishangaza sana. Tukielewa ya kwamba chakula hichi kibovu. Bwana Spika, kama mimi naongea nataka kumuuliza waziri, I want to see him.
Senator,
na wakili anaingia katikati.
Kindly, you're out of order now. Kindly take your seat.
Chakula hichi kiliharibiwa huko Mombasa katika kituo kinachoitwa Bamburi Cement Factory. Jambo la kushangaza, Bamburi Portland Cement Factory ni factory ya kutengeza simiti, lakini hapa tunaonyeshwa kwamba chakula hicho kilipelekwa kule kuharibiwa. Cha kwanza nataka kujua ni kwa sababu gani ulichukua hatua ya kuchukua chakula hicho kutoka Kakamega kwenda kuharibiwa katika Bamburi Portland Cement Mombasa, katika kampuni ambayo ina deal na simiti. Nataka ueleze hapo kwanza. Cha pili ni kwamba huu mtambo ni wa simiti, ilikuwaje ukapeleka chakula pale kuharibiwa, na kutoka Kakamega huko ama kutoka Western kimepita sehemu zote mpaka zimepita hapa tunaita Mlolongo. Kuna kampuni nyingi sana za, bwana waziri kama unaweza kunisikiza, kuna kampuni nyingi sana hapa, Simba, sijui Rhino, na kampuni nyingi sana zinazodeal na mambo ya simiti. Kwa nini ukawacha hizi zote ukapeleka chakula all the way mpaka Bamburi Portland Cement Factory kwenda kuharibu hichi chakula? Si huo ni uharibifu wa pesa za serikali? Kubeba chakula chote, uweza kulipa hii pesa yote, kubebwa hichi, kupelekwa mpaka kule na kwenda kuharibu hii chakula. Hiyo ni ya kwanza. Bwana waziri, nataka unijibu swali langu sasa. Umejibu vizuri sana kulikana na hii mambo ya Mukumu Girls. Kama vile awali nimekuambia, mimi natoka katika sehemu ya Kilifi County. Tuko na skuli mbalimbali, lakini kuna skuli ambazo zinajengwa na wanavijiji wenyewe, na skuli ambazo zinajengwa pia vile na kujumuisha pia county, pengine kusaidia na sisi kama wanasiasa kuweza kusaidia pia kuinua hali ya maisha ama hali ya watoto wetu wakiwa wanaenda skuli kusoma. Kuna skuli moja iko huko Adu, sehemu ya Adu ambao ni ward ambao mimi naiwakilisha, eneo bunge la Magarini constituency, na iko katika Kilifi County, inaitwa AJK. Nilikuwa nataka kujua ni lini skuli hii unaweza kuifanyia mipango, kwa sababu ya uhaba wa walimu. Skuli hii imepata tabu sana, na wale wakazi wa hapo wamekuwa wakilipa walimu, saa nyingine wanashindwa, saa nyingine walimu wanakosa kwenda kwa sababu hawajapata malipo yao ya mwisho wa mwezi. Ni lini serikali inafikiria inaweza kupeleka walimu wa serikali katika hiyo skuli ambayo iko kule Adu ward katika Magarini constituency? Vile ni lini serikali inafikiria itachukua hatua ya kuigeuza hii iweze kuichukua na halafu kuweka walimu permanent pale wale wa serikali, ili ichukuliwe na wakazi wa ile eneo lile wapate afueni, ili kuwe ni skuli ya serikali? Asante Bwana Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Sorry, there was a question one to do with classroom preparatories. And members, I also want to assure you on this, that actually classrooms, we don't have so much of a problem because we domicile junior secondary schools in the existing primary schools, and where we have a problem which we are trying to work on is on the preparatories, because the curriculum for junior secondary schools requires that we have preparatories in junior secondary schools. And on this, I think we have had a discussion and a negotiation with World Bank at a very advanced level. The amounts we are likely to get in a month or two will be able to do almost 40% of the total requirement countrywide as far as preparatories are concerned. And also we are having a discussion with our members of parliament, kind of partnership from the CDF fund that they get, they can also be able to do the rest. Progressively, as we move forward, we are taking stock of the requirements, what we require years to come in form of classrooms, including in senior secondary, so that we are able to plan and do some of these things in advance. Teachers, honorable member of parliament, I know that it's not only isolated to a single school. Members, you will be able to agree with me, honorable speaker. It's a problem that we have affecting a number of our schools, but ever since we came into power, this administration, members, you know that we have employed 35,000 teachers, and this coming financial year, we are also likely to employ an equal number. This will alleviate and mitigate on the kind of shortage, teacher shortage we have, not only in that school, but countrywide. Again, ever since this administration came into being, we had a very serious problem concerning registration of schools. You find a primary school has gone to grade 4, a secondary school has gone up to Form 3, and yet it is not registered. We have since given new guidelines where I think we are speeding up the registration of schools. And honorable member, HAK, if it is a registered school, of course, as you have requested, we can be able to work on it. If it is not registered, we ensure it is. We will also look at the number of teachers that we have in this school, and I'm sure we will be able to do something. I was in KISII, honorable speaker, the honorable senator, I'm sure, must be aware. We went to St. Thomas Girls Secondary School, one of the top schools, not only in KISII, but the country, and we are doing something. I also did go to a number of schools, and indeed one of the schools, I thank the honorable member of this house, Senator Mandago, I think is not from KISII, but he brought to my notice a school in KISII which is very, very needy, and that particular school is in the program of funding from the infrastructure funds this financial year, money which is getting in that account before Friday of this week, because we have been provided with funds from the National Treasury. The last question concerning why is it that we had to take the contaminated maize, rice, and beans all the way from Kakamega to Bamburi. Initially, I was also asking the same question as Senator is asking, and I found from our experts in NEMA and public health that the only area that we have a facility for disposal, that this particular maize and the beans and the rice would have been disposed and dispensed with, was Bamburi. The whole of Western region, Nairobi, we do not have that kind of facility to have it disposed of, but Bamburi has a very, very good facility for disposal. You know, initially I was also thinking it is something easy. What we are also advising the schools out of the experience we had in Mukomo is that they don't have to buy maize, beans, and the rice to last the entire team, because the quantities that they had, you can be able to see, is such that very big quantities that would have lasted the entire term. And also the kind of preservative being used is one other thing that brought a lot of problems. We are also now checking on that, out of that experience, escalating it to all our schools nationally, so that our county directors, the public health people, and the experts are able to check on this. And from our meetings and the guidance we have even given our county directors of education, we are really following up this. So, Honorable Speaker, sir, it was out of the recommendation of the experts, and we were informed that the only facility where we can be able to have it destroyed, say that, you know, we don't have the kind of situation we are hearing, that there was something somewhere and then it got out in the market. We don't want this thing to be somewhere and then after a few days you find brought the maize, the rice, the beans has gotten back in the market. We wanted us to have it disposed as soon as possible and expeditiously so. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Chute.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Nashukuru sana waziri vile ameongelea juu ya mambo ya shule. Vile unavyojua Bwana Spika, kifo ya mwalimu na kifo ya wanafunzi 4 ni mambo ya kushangaza na ya kustua. Jana Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa primary school inaitwa Santuri kule Loyangalani, constituency ya Laisamis. Niliingia staff room nikakuta chakula inapikwa kwa hiyo staff room, grains imewekwa kwa hiyo staff room, mandege wakiingia wakibeba wakihara wakitoka, na nikauliza kwa nini imekuwa hivyo, na wakasema hatuna facility ya kutosha ya kuweka hizo chakula. Chakula yaharibiki kwa sababu ya kuletwa peke yake. Hata vile inawekwa kwa mastore iko na shida sana. Nimesikia waziri akiongea mambo ya shule moja peke yake. Ningetaka waziri aseme ameweka mkakati gani ya kuhakikisha nchi hii yote, shule zote ziwe na mpangilio vizuri, tusipate shida ile tulipata kwa hiyo shule. Uko najua waziri uko na watu ya kutosha ya kukueleza kitu gani inaendelea kila mahali Kenya hii. Kwa nini hujatuambia umechukua hatua hiyo kwa hiyo shule na shule zingine ndani ya Kenya? Hujatuambia umechukua hatua gani? Kwa sababu leo ujui wanafunzi wangapi wataenda kufa kwa sababu ile shida ilikuwa kwa hiyo shule ambayo inaitwa Mukumu High School. Sio hiyo shule peke yake kuna shida, iko na shule nyingi. Utuambie hizo shule zingine umechukua hatua gani tusipoteze watoto na walimu vile tumepoteza katika Mukumu. Asante sana.
Honorable CS.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir. I wish to inform the House that the Ministry developed the Safety Standards Manual for schools to provide guidelines on ensuring safety and health conditions in the school environment. The manual requires each school to have a school safety subcommittee. The manual also provides guidance on a number of issues such as skills-based education on prevention of endemic conditions, promotion of environmental sanitation and hygiene practices, provision of safe water and sanitation, protection of children with special needs with regard to their health and hygiene, and on the taking of immediate steps when there is a threat on an epidemic outbreak. Through our quality assurance teams on the ground, we continue to monitor compliance with the requirements of the manual. So we have a manual on this, and the Honorable Speaker, as you are aware, one other problem is that we have over 30,000 primary schools. Some of them get missed during lunch time. We have over 10,000 secondary schools, TVETs, and of course our universities. We have, apart from the structures we have as a ministry, which we have said we must strengthen those structures. We have sub-county directors of education. Some of them were not properly facilitated to move around schools. But what this administration has done is that with the effect from this year, we are giving each of one of them a vehicle such that they can be able to be checking around their schools, because as CS and PS education, we cannot, it is not physically possible for us to move to each and every school and check on this. But the officers, right from the regional level, the county and the sub-county level, we have insisted that they must be going into schools. And among the other things that they have to check on is to ensure that people comply and conform to the tenets and the provisions of the manual. And even me personally, Honorable Speaker, sir, when I go to schools, like yesterday I had an opportunity of moving to 6 secondary schools in Siaya and the Nyanza region. One of the things actually is mandatory for me to check is the food and the water. Out of water happened everywhere I move to. When you see me in Kirifi, when you see me in your counties, when you see me coming to each and every school, I make sure that this is what I also check. And also reminding our officers, because on a monthly basis, even where I'm not able to have my officers together, we are having virtual meetings. When I'm not chairing those meetings, my PS is the one chairing, and one of the items of agenda that we discuss on is this one. So I hope with the kind of insistence we are having on our officers at each and every level, we should be able to have to get it right.
Senator Aaron Cheriot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is actually similar to what the Honorable Said Chute has asked. So, but maybe I'll just put a slight amendment and say that one life is too many already. When you lose a school child, even if it's just one, it's too many, and should gather the collective rage of the Ministry of Education and all those responsible. I've had the CS respond to Senator Said Chute and state that there are guidelines that have been put in place that will guide the schools on how this food handling is done, that will prevent a similar occurrence in any other school in the Republic of Kenya. The only thing that wasn't clear from the answer of response of the CS, which I want him to clarify to this House, Mr. Speaker, is if these guidelines were already in place at the time of the incident in Mukumu, what caused the breach then if we already had the guidelines? And finally, if there have been now further amendments to these guidelines so as to fully seal all the loopholes so that we don't lose any other Kenyan child in school because of the kind of situation that happened in Mukumu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think one area that we must admit that we have had a problem, and the Honorable Member also said about a director somewhere, is on enforcement. Yes, you can have a very good manual, but the issue of enforcement, and this is what I've said, I'm giving my officers all the necessary support, because some of the excuses they have been using is that they are not able to move around schools, support which they are now getting. And one of the other things we have done in the performance contracting of our officers, among others, the major thing is now on this, that we are not going to follow just the routine issues that we have been following, some of them. This is top on the agenda. So we are actually following on enforcement, because one area that there might have been a little bit of a weakness is, yes, directives are issued, guidelines are issued, policies are issued, but who follows, who monitors to make sure that they are actually practiced. So I think that is where we had a weakness, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, but this time around we are really following and making sure that our officers on the ground are able to follow not only with the schools, but to make sure that whatever we have issued in the form of a manual is actually enforced.
Honorable Senators, we have spent over 1 hour on this particular question. We have another question to tackle, and therefore we will leave it at that and move to question number 8. Honorable CS, thank you so much for taking time to come to respond to this question. Certainly you've seen the kind of interest this question has generated, and I know with the kind of interest department ministries generating in the Senate, you'll be a regular visitor to these Senate. But thank you so much for taking time to come to respond to these questions. Clerk, kindly usher in the Minister, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of mining, blue economy, and maritime affairs. Thank you, CS. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you back to the Senate. The nominated senator, Senator Veronica Maina, is the one who is supposed to ask this question, but I'm informed that she is not around, having traveled on Senate business, and therefore she has delegated that work to Senator Sigei. Kindly, Senator Sigei, proceed to ask the question.
Thank you. I rise to ask question number 008. And on behalf of Senator Veronica Maina MP, And Mr. Speaker, the question is to the Minister. What are the rationale for and the impact of the detachment of Bandari College from Kenya Ports Authority? B, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the number of seafarers trained by Bandari College and deployed to the local and international market? And 3, Mr. Speaker, could the Cabinet Secretary provide information as to the suitability and capacity of Bandari College to undertake the government's commitment to train 250 seafarers annually? I thank you.
Honorable CS.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members of the Senate. Bandari Maritime Academy is a maritime training institution which is designed to train and develop skills to provide labor needed for the development of the blue economy seafarers and other value chain skills in the industry. This college was established in 1980s by Kenya Ports Authority. The purpose then was to deliver in-house port operations and cargo handling trainings to staff of both KPA and the defunct Kenya Cargo Handling Services Limited. It is notable that the college operated as a department of KPA, and therefore its operations were restricted as it lacked autonomy to plan and manage its affairs. In subsequent years, and due to rapid changes in the maritime sector, the college was expected to expand the scope of training to address the global maritime sector skills and provide skills that would enable employability of the youth in seafaring and other value chain carriers in the shipping sector beyond KPA operations. Over the years, BMA has realized growth in the course portfolio and has expanded facilities and the training capacity to address the training needs of both port operations and other maritime courses. In order to spur growth in the maritime sector and create employment opportunities, therefore KPA staff undertake courses to build their capacity at BMA. In 2017, July, the blue economy sector was adopted as the 8th sector of the economic pillar in the MTP3 of Kenya Vision 2030. Critical to this development was the identification and transformation of Bandari College into a regional maritime center of excellence for skills development for the blue economy. To address the challenges therein and to meet the growing skill demands for the maritime sector and the blue economy, the government, through legal notice number 233 of 28 November 2018, therefore decided to transform Bandari College into Bandari Maritime Academy as a semi-autonomous government agency. The transformation of the college was envisaged to facilitate the country's quest to explore the benefits accruing from the blue economy sector. The initiative to reform the college is anchored within the framework provided for in legal notice number 233 of 28 November 2018, the State Corporations Act Chapter 446 Laws of Kenya, and the Constitution of Kenya 2010. This transformation of the college to an autonomous status granted it a state corporation status that was required to drive innovation, diversification of training, enhanced performance, creation of partnerships, resource mobilization, and sustainability. This has enabled a drastic increase in the numbers trained, raising the trainers to over 5,000 in the current financial year. The Academy has completed the recruitment of the first batch of technical officers, which will further enhance its training capacity. The Academy is currently the only international maritime organization certified maritime training institution in Kenya, and was last assessed in February 2023 and confirmed to be compliant, thereby enabling Kenya's retention in the white list under the IMO regulations. Part B, Honorable Speaker, of that question. Bandari Maritime Academy trains in both modular and short courses. Modular courses generate skills for trainees who work as officers, while there are hundreds of other Kenyans who pursue other seafaring courses, careers under the IMO regulations to allow for employability at sea. The statistics below indicate the numbers trained at Bandari Maritime Academy since inception in 2019. Your Excellency and Right Honorable Speaker, I have provided a table with clear numbers of the trainees since 2019 for the different courses, which is clearly in page 3 of my presentation. And it goes on up to page 4. However, I just want to give an example. The number of seafarers that have been engaged in local and international markets, for example, in last year, we had 1,450 seafarers, and 2023, as we speak now, we have 320 who have been engaged, giving a total of 1,770. But when you get the entire total of seafarers trained, it will number to slightly above 5,000. Part C of the question. The Academy has developed various courses and programs that are on demand and required by seafarers. The Academy has enhanced its capacity to train at least 5,000 seafarers per year in both the short-term and long-term courses, as shown in the achievements and statistics above. The Academy has been approved by the following agencies to train in various courses which are ongoing. They registered by TVETA, and the courses approved as in the TVET institutions. It has been approved by KMA to train seafaring courses, specifically 16 courses. Approved by National Transport and Safety Authority to train for port operations and cargo lifting. It has been approved by NITA to train in low-level skills also required by seafarers such as plumbing. Courses in BMA are approved by the Kenya National Qualification Authority for International Comparativeness. Examinations in BMA are conducted by various agencies such as BMA, NEC, NTSA, and NITA. Training equipment and resources. The Academy has workshops and classrooms for various trainings, like in seamanship workshop, maritime engineering workshop, mechanical engineering workshop, and 22 classrooms. The other equipment available is simulations, training boats. We also have port operation equipment, forklifts, terminal tractors, gantry crane, driving school equipment. Where equipment and resources are inadequate, the Academy has engagements with Kenya Shipyard, Kenya Coast Guard Service, and Kenya Ports Authority to use existing facilities for training. The Academy has also engaged various shipping lines through signing of MOUs, notably by CMS, CGM, MSC, for sea-time training, which is critical for employability. The facilities available are able to train over 5,000 for the short courses annually and over 250 in the modular courses annually. The Academy therefore has capacity to train more than the 250 seafarers per year as mentioned in the inquiry. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable members of the Senate. Thank you.
Senator Sigei, you would have, you're allowed to raise a maximum of 2 supplementary questions that relate to the original questions if you have any, and then we'll allow other senators to ask supplementary questions thereafter.
Honorable Speaker, I would rather allow my colleagues to ask, then I close by asking any supplementary question once you've allowed any member, if any, to ask a question.
Very well, Senator. Senator George Mungai. Senator Boni Kalwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Minister is aware that the top busiest seaports in the world, without going through the order, namely Singapore, Brussels, and a number of other seaports that are the top. They are in countries that are facing a crisis of youth, countries that don't have youth. Now that we are churning out 5,000 qualified children from this, who are likely to be employed in these world top seats, what are you doing to help our children to secure jobs in Brussels, Singapore, Germany, US, who don't have children, including Dubai?
CS, you can respond to that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and Honorable Boni Alwale. And on this matter, Mr. Speaker, I want to put the record straight for the nation. First of all, what we are doing in the State Department of Maritime and Shipping, we have entered into MOUs with the international shipping lines, so that when the seafarers are trained, we attach them to the international shipping lines. As we speak, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, last month we were able to flag 500 seafarers who are employed by shipping lines plying the routes in Dubai, in America, Miami, in South Africa, Durban, and other countries. So through the MOUs with the shipping lines, we are able to secure jobs for Kenyans in the various shipping lines internationally. And that is why, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, it is important that we continue to build the capacity of Bandari Maritime Academy so that we can have more youth trained. And right now, what we have initiated in the State Department is an awareness creation program which will run in all regions so that the youth can be able to know what kind of qualifications are required. And of course, as we build the capacity of Bandari Maritime Academy, then we are able to comply with international regulations and international policies. So I want to confirm that the opportunities in Singapore and in many other countries, we are able to harness this through the MOUs that we have entered with the Mediterranean shipping line, with other shipping lines that are very active internationally. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, CS. Senator Julius Murgo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to ask a question and a half. May I know from the CS as to what the ministry is doing to make counties and local areas aware of what minerals they have in their areas, because some of them, because of illiteracy and lack of many situations that would make them aware or give them capacity to be able to be aware what they have, cannot be able to know what exactly. And therefore, giving an opportunity to advantage takers who come and exploit the locals because of the fact that they are not aware. And then half question is, how can you give assurance of investors? Because there is sometimes a time that an investor comes and then he is invaded by greedy interest person, especially local, particularly politicians, people that do not really want others to invest if they are interested in one way or the other. How can you give assurance to an investor who is interested to employ people on the ground and so on, and yet there is a greedy politician who wants to bulldoze such an investor out of the scene?
Maybe we'll take a second question, Wazir, and then you can answer the two questions. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the CS for his appearance and the response that he has brought to the House. This is a very important topic that you're discussing. While the conversation centered majorly on Bandari College, of course, any prudent minister will also plan for eventually what happens to these students after they are done with the college. Therefore, the question I wanted to ask the good minister is if his ministry has sent any set any conditions precedent before any shipping line is allowed access into our waters, to give them perhaps a target. I know he has said there's a policy and they make requests to them, but I believe that part of the conversation that we need to have in a increasingly growing competitive global market is that you need to have an agreement before, if they give the licenses annually or biannually, depending on the frequency, an agreement with the international shipping lines on the number of seafarers that they can take. Otherwise, his response is adequate on the number of people that they are training. But you do appreciate that this is a highly specialized skill or training where you can only secure jobs where the waters and ports, as has been observed. Secondly, is just in line with what Senator Boni Halwale had previously asked, whether they, as a State Department, have got any protocols or proposals that they are giving to foreign governments, especially those that share, those that have a trade imbalance with Kenya, on availability of these specialized skills for people to work in the airports. Is it part of what we sign? There are countries that we trade with, and they have significant trade imbalance with Kenya, yet they are known to operate some of the world's best and busiest ports. When we, as part of trying to even out the trade imbalance that exists between our country and those specific countries, are the graduates of this college, do they feature in that conversation as part of those that they sign on and secure jobs for? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Waziri can answer the questions from Migori and the Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable members. There's this question about which revolves around awareness. And as I read in my statement, the State Department of Shipping and Maritime has now begun a comprehensive campaign to create awareness. And part of this awareness has been targeted to county governments, because we have identified county governments as a critical partner in this particular issue of seafarers training, and some of them have already committed resources to support their youth in these particular causes. We have also reached to members of parliament. In fact, some of them have also made commitments and have been part of the schedule. Previously, the recruitment and training of seafarers was not very clear to Kenyans, and that is why we are running this program, and I'm sure in the next financial year it will be a very robust program to create awareness so that then people can be very much aware about how they can be seafarers. For example, most of the seafarers' requirements are very basic. For example, some of them are plumbers, some of them are pool attendants, but before they become seafarers, there are a number of courses that they have to undergo, and that is where the issue of awareness and local investments comes in. So I think this is a program which is already ongoing, and as we progress in the new financial year, it will be enhanced to cover the entire country and to use any available space to make sure that we create awareness, and also to enhance the institutions doing the recruitment to make sure that the recruitment is transparent and above board. I think the other issue about investments, even though the question was not very clear, what I want to say is that investments targeting shipping and maritime are also regulated by various regulations, including the IMO. And right now what we are doing is that we are profiling the key opportunities that exist in the maritime sector, and we are inviting investments in that particular sector. For example, what we are doing in Liwatoni, even though it's a blue economy activity, there will be a lot of maritime regulations that will be enhanced to make sure that those investments are protected by the law. We are also looking at the possibility of having investments in the shipyard so that then Kenya can also have an opportunity to provide space for dry docking and maintenance of vessels. So I think those are some of the efforts that we are doing to make sure that we inspire investments. But we also work with the other agencies of government. For example, in the area of tourism, we are also looking up to how we can inspire investors in cruise ship so that then we can also be able to explore our opportunities and potential in that particular sector. I heard something about investments in mining, if I'm not wrong, Mheshimiwa. In mining, what we are doing to enhance and protect investments, first of all, the country has just concluded the geosurvey data, which has identified 970 mineral occurrences across the country. And occurrences are indications. So right now we have embarked on a ground truthing exercise where we have gone back to various counties to confirm the occurrence of minerals and their economic value. So when we do that, then it is a one way of protecting investments from a situation where they didn't have data. Now they can have reliable data that they can use for investment. And then we are also working on the online cadastre, which basically will provide a platform for applications of mining licenses, a licensing process which will be transparent, and encouraging investors to go to the portal and apply. Currently, we want to link this online cadastre with key government services like in KRA, so you can, at one stop, you can be able to apply and make the necessary payments through eCitizen. In fact, right now, we have been working on the stamp duty, so that once we conclude that, then we can have a platform that can make the applications for license much easier. So I hope that was just a side issue, because today I came here to speak issues of shipping and maritime, but I thought it was important to update members and the nation on what we are doing. We are also running a robust artisanal mining program where we are transforming artisanal miners groups into cooperatives so that we can have an opportunity to organize them and they can be able to benefit from other services in government and also in the private sector. So we are doing this to create an enabling environment for mining investments in the country. On the other question by Honorable Boni Alwale, on the issues of, from Honorable Aaron Cheruiyot, on these issues of seafarers and conditions for shipping lines. What we have done is that in the MOUs we are very specific with the shipping lines on the recruitment. For example, the MOU with the Mediterranean shipping line, we have made provision for recruitment of seafarers annually, and we have put a figure of 1,500 for that particular shipping line. So this then becomes one of the areas of partnership, so that then they are able also to employ our youth in the country. The other thing we are doing, especially with Qatar and South Korea, part of the negotiation protocols bilaterally in the areas of shipping and maritime, we are also negotiating with them on the number of youths who can get opportunities in Qatar and South Korea. So that is just an example. And once we have the numbers, then now we utilize the capacity in Bandari Maritime Academy to prepare them to qualify for these particular jobs that we are negotiating. Other than that, we are also working with the Ministry of Labor, because we also know that seafarers have been working and challenged in some conditions, and already we have a joint CAB memo with the Ministry of Labor to streamline the issue of working in the diaspora in terms of welfare and in terms of also other issues that have been affecting them. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable members.
Thank you, Waziri. Senator Mohammed Abdallah Shakila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question goes to the CS regarding the fishing sector. When the President was giving his keynote during the opening of this House, he mentioned that he's going to improve the fishing sector. Maybe the Minister can tell us what his ministry is doing to improve the fishing sector, whereby we are able to tap all the opportunities and the resources available in fishing sector, because as we're talking now, our resources are being taken by the trawlers, which are foreign trawlers. And that is something which it could be done within our country and improve our economy in terms of fishing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I think it is important we remember that we limit the supplementary questions to maritime affairs. But I will allow that question. Senator Gerard Gay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My question to the CS concerns the role of counties, especially in partnership of boat training and work of seafarers, Mr. Speaker, especially to counties along our coast, the northern, the coastal part of the country. What is the role of the counties? Because I believe, Mr. Speaker, it is not the exclusive mandate to some level for the national government to do it, Mr. Speaker. And finally, Mr. Speaker, what, like for example, Mombasa Port, which is their sister port, that they pick the best practices in terms of shipping and maritime, for example, like Miami International Port in the US and Singapore Port, as Senator Boni has mentioned. What partnership to ensure that there are best practices in terms of running of maritime and shipping and improving the efficiency of our Mombasa Port, among others in the country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Waziri, you can respond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable members. The question that has been posed by Honorable Amina Abdallah, Honorable Senator, and you rightly observed, Mr. Speaker, that today we came for maritime. I think there's a day I came here for blue economy and fisheries, and I gave a comprehensive report on what we are doing in the Blue Economy and Fisheries State Department. However, because this is a question which I'm sure she's asking on behalf of the residents in Lamu County, I will respond to this question, and because also it's good for the nation to be aware of what we are doing in fisheries. First of all, in the blue economy and fisheries sector, we have said that this is a critical area that we need to spur investments. And therefore, we have divided the investments in terms of medium level and high level. Medium level focusing on artisanal fishermen. And for artisanal fishermen, for example, we have zoned the country and the blue space in the Indian Ocean, in Lake Victoria and other lakes into critical areas for investment. For example, in coast region, we have looked at the entire area from Lamu to Kwale. And in Lamu, for example, we have said that in that entire Indian Ocean, we will be able to work with county governments so that we are able to develop landing sites that could be a first point for value addition. So we have zoned from Mokoe for Lamu County. We have looked at Kipini in Tana River. Kilifi, we have Ngomeni and Kichwa Chakati. We have Kidongo in Mombasa. We have other areas in Kwale County like Mwaepe, Gazi, and Vanga. And in all these areas, we have identified critical areas for landing sites, and some of them are at the level of connecting water and power, and some of them are at the level of advertising for construction. The only challenge there has been the issue of land, but the governors are sorting that, and then we are able to do those investments. The other thing we have done with our development partners, we recently concluded a process where we are also providing new boats to the beach management units, and currently we have provided new boats, actually 26 boats in the 5 counties of the coast region. We are also working to ensure that we have we transform the BMUs into cooperatives so that we can link them to financial institutions. So we have mapped out the entire country and identified 445 BMUs that we need to transform into cooperative societies. For example, in the Lake region from Migori, we are working around Sori, where we have a landing site. We also have another landing site we'll develop in Nyandiwa in Homa Bay. We have Mulukoba in Busia. We have Ogal and Asat in Kisumu. We have Wichlum in Siaya, and also Luanda Kotieno. So these are areas that we have identified for basic value addition. And in fact, we are working with the counties on those projects. In Lake Turkana, for example, we are working with the government of Netherlands because we also want to develop cooling systems for fishermen in Marsabit and Turkana, and that project will be should be able to give us, has a budget of around 1.5 billion, so we should be able to work around it and should be able to give fishermen an opportunity for investment. We also have another program we are working with counties on aquaculture. We have 15 counties in the Lake and Western region and also in Mount Kenya, so that we are able to develop our capacity in aquaculture. And linked to this, we have a big program that we will be launching soon, the Kabonyo Kanyagwal program, which will cost about 1 billion. So once we launch it, then we are able to enhance our capacity in aquaculture. We are also working with other partners on enhancing our presence in the exclusive economic zone in the Indian Ocean, so that we can be able to inspire our capacity in tuna fishing. And that is why we have the Liwatoni project in Mombasa, so that then it becomes a landing site for vessels that ply the trade in deep sea. And alongside that, we have identified areas that we are working with other agencies to develop fish processing. And we have identified Mokoe as one of the areas, and Shimoni. Already in Shimoni, we have a 2.6 billion fish pot, which is being spearheaded by KPA. And that we feel it will be able to inspire investments. We have just, we are also sending our officers in Taita Taveta to look at their potential in Lake Chala and Lake Jipe. So basically, Mr. Speaker, even though the question came as a surprise, I thought it was important that I give it an overall presentation so that members and the country can also benefit from this information. The other question by Senator Nandi on the role of counties, I think the reason we have brought in counties to the discussion on maritime and shipping and the entire area of seafarers is because we don't want the ministry or the State Department to be the one taking everything. We also would like to encourage other actors, especially in the area of training, so that we can be able to have as many as possible Kenyan youth qualifying for seafaring internationally. The other part of the question was what KPA is doing to enhance partnerships with, for example, the ports in Miami. I know overall the KPA is having a lot of international networks, but I think the Senate will benefit more if we get my colleague in transport to give you specifics on the partnerships that exist between KPA and other ports in the world. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable members. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Waziri. Senator Wakili, would you like to ask your supplementary questions?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to appreciate the CS for the responses that is shared with us this morning, particularly with regards to the questions that the honorable members have raised. And more importantly, Mr. Speaker, on the question on the deliberate move by the ministry in creation of the awareness of the courses and the facilities available at the Bandari Maritime Institute. The response, Mr. Speaker, particularly on the statistics, this is where I want to ask my supplementary question. This is under table 2.2 on the number of students who've been trained on both modular and short-term courses. I would like the Cabinet Secretary to give us, if any, statistics on the numbers, whether the beneficiaries of these trainings are local in the sense that I am aware we've got our counterparts in the neighboring countries, especially where we are looking at the East African community, whether the statistics provided here are for the locals. And number two, an extension of the creation of awareness, whether there is an extended effort to attract interest from students who are not necessarily residents of the coastline. I'm saying so because I come from a county which is far off from the coastline. This is Bomet County. And I'm very sure a good number of my residents might not, Honorable Speaker, be in a position to understand beyond what they can read about the seafaring as a course and also the benefits that would come by. I thank you.
Waziri, can respond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and honorable members. Honorable Sigei, I want to confirm that the numbers in that table, the trainees in BMA are all Kenyans. And so when you see those figures, those are Kenyans that have been trained. The second part of your question, I think I want to confirm that the awareness program is targeting the entire country. In fact, you will be surprised that the last recruitments, I think there are quite a number of other agencies that picked it up. And in the eastern region, there has been quite a lot of awareness. So it is not just a coastal affair, but it is covering the entire country. And the State Department of Shipping and Maritime, in the coming financial year, they will do a program for each county. And in fact, when that program is done, we will share with the leaders so that they can also participate in this particular program. We have seen initiatives from different leaders who have been excited by this particular process, and we are willing to work with more leaders in this particular endeavor. Alongside that, we have recruitment agencies across the country, and we'll be able to work with them so that this program does not become opaque, because I think what we had inherited is that it was not very clear to many youths and many Kenyans on how one can be a seafarer. But right now we want to open it up. We want all Kenyans, all Kenyan youth and leaders to be aware of this program, the qualifications and the requirements, so that we can be able to benefit as many Kenyans as possible. Maybe the last point I want to talk about on this issue of seafarers, Mr. Speaker and honorable members, I think what we also need to be aware going forward, as we tap the opportunities, we also need to invest in Bandari Maritime Academy so that it can have the requisite capacity to undertake this kind of training, and not to rely on sea time from international partners. I think going forward, we are working towards making it even more able to undertake these particular trainings, because the most critical in this is the sea time. And sea time, you need a ship so that students can be able to enjoy and have experience in sea time. So I think these are some of the areas that we invite the Senate and other arms of government to work together with us so that we can enhance the capacity of Bandari Maritime Academy. I also want to observe, Mr. Speaker, that going forward there are other related institutions that are coming up to be able also to support and to enhance the capacity of Bandari Maritime Academy, like in our sister Ministry of Education. They are also doing a maritime and logistics institution which will be linked to Bandari Maritime Academy to offer courses to Kenyans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, CS. Honorable Senators, there being no further questions, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Minister for his time and detailed answers and for his understanding on some of the questions that were asked that are outside the topic. Bwana Waziri, at this point we will allow you leave and wish you all the best in your task ahead. Thank you, Waziri.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a motion that quickly rises to the challenge that we are having within the police. Mr. Speaker, it is almost every day, every week, or several times in a month that we hear about police officers either turning against themselves or members of their families or their own colleagues. Mr. Speaker, even in my own county, just a few weeks ago, we came from such an instance in Lugari constituency where one of my youth who had just joined the police, Elijah, was gunned down by his colleague. Many people take this as criminal activities, but to me, I think there is a deeper problem captured by this motion by the mover. Mr. Speaker, it's very difficult for somebody to turn against a friend unprovoked, a member of the family unprovoked. Police officers are serving under very, very difficult circumstances. If it is houses they do not have, Mr. Speaker, if it is pay slip they earn nothing worth talking about, Mr. Speaker, access to health facilities police officers do not have. If it is insurance to meet hospital bills for members of their families, police officers don't have. Even, Mr. Speaker, police officers who are ordinarily expected to be dressed impeccably, they do not have sufficient funds to take them uniforms to the laundry. So the welfare of the police, to me, is a contributor to what many might think, that police officers are mentally unwell. It's pressure